Hey, what's up? This is '04 Honda Civic. We're gonna be doing basically a timing belt head gasket repair on this one. Let me show you why. So go to crank it up. We got a no start, and this is why. So I had a camshaft code, right? So I go to replace the camshaft position sensor. So basically, what you're gonna do is, just take off your cover right here. You got two 10mm bolts, one, two, three tens right there holding that in. As soon as you take it off, you can see that the cam gear right here is broken. So we got kind of like a hydro lock situation going on right there, and also you see that that belt's got a lot of play. I got a feeling that we got bent valves, but that's the cam position sensor, and you'll see it's broke right there. But it broke because it plugs in right here, and I guess when that gear broke, probably due to hydro locking, then it caused a no start. So what we're gonna do right here is take these out, 10mm bolts. Just unscrew these two right here first. Take these tens out right here. You're gonna pull this off. We're gonna pull the spark plug, the valve cover off, and then just go for the head bolts, the rocker arms, and the head bolts. So we're gonna go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so this is '04 Honda Civic right here, and just installed a new head gasket. Well, actually, new head gasket. All right. So to get to this point, first, of course, you got to take off your timing belt, or you can just cut it. If you're gonna replace it, and you're gonna do a cylinder head gasket, you want a shortcut, just cut the timing belt. In my case, the cam gear snapped and broke, so that's why I'm doing a timing belt job. I figured I might as well go ahead and do the head gasket. This is my second timing belt job on this car. It's almost 200,000 miles. So to get to this point, okay, so took the heads off, machined it, reinstalled the head. Now I'm just gonna go over the torque bolt specification here. Um, First time around, you're gonna do 14 foot-pounds. Second time around, 36, and then 49. You want to do this with a beam style torque wrench. Then you want to follow it up and check it with a clicker style. So your torque sequence is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. So you're going to do 14 foot-pounds there. Then you go back and do 36 at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Or you can do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You just want to do it in a crisscross pattern. It really doesn't have to be, an exact. Alright, so I took the heads to the machine shop to get them machined. Now, in order to get the head off, you got 5 bolts here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get this off. To get the shield off, there's just like 4 tens on the front of the shield. You just got to disconnect your oxygen sensor over here on the side. The thermostat housing, 5 bolts holding it on. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4, 5 on the bottom. And then you're just gonna have to disconnect, your hoses and stuff like that. On the back here, your intake, it's let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts on the back. Now to get to these, you're gonna need they're 12 millimeters. So you're gonna have these right here on the top, real easy. They just twist off. The ones in the back, you're gonna have to take off the fuel rail. So there's just like 2 tens right here, 10 right there, 10 right there, holding on the fuel rail. So you take those up, just take everything off, and in order to get to there at that point, first you're gonna have to take off the throttle. So take off your whole intake over here. I'm gonna show you like the reverse everything, but it's just like 4 tens holding on the throttle, and then the throttle body, and then you're gonna have to use a wrench and go down inside these holes right here. 1, 2, those 3 holes right there. But anyways, your bolts are like right there. There's a bolt right there, there's one right there, and then there's one right there. But they can give you some problems. You just have to just go in there, break them loose with a 12mm wrench, and then just work it just a little bit at a time. Then once it's loose, you stick your finger down in there, get it off, and use a magnet to pull it out. So basically all you gotta do to get the head off is right here, 5 bolts here, 5 bolts here, and 6 bolts on the back holding it on. But you know, you just gotta take off all the other stuff in order to get to it. I'm gonna show you when we do the timing belt here in just a minute. Basically what I had to do, you know, all the just the little stuff to get it off. Real easy stuff though. Alright, next thing you want to do, clean off your cam, put some oil on it, drop it down in there. Go ahead and put your seal on there, push it all the way to the back. Then you're going to want to put some RTV or sealant right there. So you see there's the cam seal right there. Alright, so this is how you do your cam seal right here. Go and put it on there, drop it in there. You're going to put RTV right here on the very ends, all the way up until basically almost damn near touching it. You don't really necessarily want to get it on and seal. I'm gonna clean it up a little bit, and then put some right here too, on that right there, and some right there. And then you're gonna put your rocker arm assembly on. But before you do that, you're gonna put this right here, which is your cam plug. And you want, when you put it on, you want to have it horizontal. So these right here need to be going sideways. You don't want it up like that. You want to put it in straight across like that. So you go on ahead, set that in there, have these lines going sideways. Then put your rocker arm assembly in there and tighten it down to 14 foot-pounds. Okay, first step. You're gonna need one of these right here. It's like a 50mm hex socket right here. That's gonna hold your crank right there. This is to do your timing belt. We're gonna start on this, and that goes right inside here. That's gonna hold it. What I do is I take that, put a breaker bar, and I put it right up under here, under the frame body of the car. And then I take my other socket. It's gonna be a 19mm. Put it on there, and then I like to come over here and lift from this side, because you get more pull lifting than trying to push down or something like that. Just take a real long breaker bar and knock that crank loose. Probably put a little penetrating oil on it. Next thing you're gonna do, you have to remove the alternator. That's a 14mm right there. You want to take that out, and then you got your little wing nut right down there. If I can get that right there, that guy right there. You can also put a 27mm socket on it, which is what I'm going to do. So I got a 27mm 12-point socket. I'm going to use that to loosen up that wing nut. And then once you loosen it up, that belt will come off. Then you can take your 14 off, and I think there's another 14. Yeah, right down there, holding it in. So I'm going to take that alternator out. That'll come up from the top. Then you're gonna take off these right here. I think there's a 17mm right here. That's gonna be the next step. You're gonna take off that motor mount. So just know that you're gonna have to put another jack up underneath the engine and hold it up while you're doing this right here. So get your nut. Make sure you got 2 jack stands up, or either you're gonna take your jack, put it on the jack stand, then take your jack, put it up under the oil pan while you're taking this off right here. And then you can get your lower cover and everything and remove that crank. Okay, so actually 14mm wing nut, you can use a 27mm socket on that. 14 in order to get it to all the way loose. And actually it's a 12mm, and that's it right there. So this right here, that's a 12mm right there. Once you loosen that up, then your tensioner right here is going to start loosening up. So you want to go ahead and take that all the way out, take that 14 out, and then your alternator will come out. So the reason that you're taking out the alternator, which is just that 14. Oh, in order to get that alternator out, this 14 right here is going to hit against this power steering bracket, which is this guy right here. That's a 12 millimeter holding it in. You're going to need to move that, take out that 12 millimeter, move that power steering bracket, and the power steering pump, reservoir, I'm sorry, just pulls up. But I got all that just like sitting over there to the side. Once you take out these 3 14s right here, holding the pump, then that power steering bracket will come out. But that's how you're gonna have to move it all the way there like that to get out the alternator. The reason you're taking it out is for these 3 17s right here. Is 1, 2, and there's a third one down here. Oh, right here, just to the side, right up underneath the exhaust manifold. So you want to take out those 3 right there, these 3 right here, and then you're you should be able to take out this one. And then there's like 2 more on the bottom, right over here, underneath this bracket. So I'm gonna go ahead and take those out, and we get this bracket up out of there, that motor. Right. So once you got your alternator off, next thing you want to do is get your timing belt off. If you haven't, well, in my situation, what happened was the crank pulley broke. So this is the inside of my camshaft, not crank pulley, but camshaft pulley. So it's separated here. This is your what will go right here into this groove, and basically it just tore. You can see these little things right here all tore up. But my crank pulley just shattered. What happened was it was winter time and it was frozen, and I had a coolant leak, so I had water in there. I tried to crank it up on a day when it was freezing, it was ice outside, and kind of hydro locked, I guess, the top half of the engine, and it just basically just ripped this up. So anyways, sure, got a cam seal in there. I'm probably gonna go ahead and remove that crank seal also, put another one in there. But anyways, all you gotta do is take out the 14 millimeter right here. That's for your auto tensioner. You take out that 14 millimeter. There's gonna be a spring right here on this orange kind of bolt thing sticking out. So that's for your that's gonna be for the spring. And then you got your 14 millimeter going in here. That'll take out your auto tensioner. Slide everything on your crank, your harmonic balancer, everything, clean it up. You got 4 10 millimeter bolts holding in your water pump. You take out those 4 bolts, pull that off. I'm gonna put another one of those on, put the cam pulley on, put our crankshaft pulley, harmonic balancer, everything back on the way it was taken off. And we're gonna start putting this thing at top of this center, get it put back together. Okay, so the tray is a 12 millimeter. I like to go ahead and get that up on your cam sprocket, and you want to line it that up mark with that little tab right there. Sure you can see that. Okay, well, there's a little tab right there. Okay, let's see if you can see it. Right there. Okay, that tab right there. That's not like an official timing mark. I guess, yeah, I guess you can use it, say it is. But anyways, that up right there needs to line up with that tab right there, straight behind it. And then you got a mark right there. Let's see if you can see an indentation right here. You got a mark right there. And then you got one straight across from it, and that tooth right there. Okay. Now when that goes straight back, if you take your finger and follow it straight back, it should line up with the top of your head. Same thing over here. You take your finger and follow that straight back, it should line up exactly with the flat surface right here of your head, your valve cover. Well, yeah, where the valve cover rests on the cylinder head. Now what you're gonna do down here, I usually take this, there's your timing mark right here, and I usually take like a white marker, and right behind here there's an arrow straight back. You can see that arrow in the back, that timing, there it is right there. Well, that mark right there needs to line up with that arrow back there. So if you follow this mark right here, go straight back, there's an arrow corresponding with it. It's kind of hard to see it right there. Get in here. Anywho, so starting down here, you want to get this crank, your mark right here, lined up with the arrow back here on the engine. Alright, so start right there, you go up around the tensioner, right here. Now when I do this, I have this come up around the tensioner. When I do this, I always leave this off. So I'll take this off right here. Go ahead and get it in the groove. Running around here, and now usually I'm holding this right here with a 12mm socket, and like I'll rotate it like clockwise, like one tooth, and rotate it back counterclockwise to catch the tooth, and bring it back, and then just kind of work it onto the camshaft gear. All right, then I go down here, put my spring back on, and then I'll check my timing marks, make sure that that's straight up, make sure that these two camshaft indentations are right here, touching it, lined up with the top of the head, and then go back down there, check the crank, make sure that it's still at TDC, top dead center. Once you got everything lined up, go ahead and rotate it counterclockwise, because this engine does rotate counterclockwise. Give it a good two to 4 rotations, make sure everything's lined up. Once you're comfortable, then you can go ahead and pull your pin out, which is right here. Boom. Go ahead and pull your pin. Then I'm gonna go ahead and rotate it again, another 2 to 4 rotations, just to make sure everything's lined up. And then after that, what I'm gonna do is, since this is locked in now, I'm gonna go in ahead and put the cover on, put my cam sensor, put my crank sensor in there, and I'm gonna go ahead and fire it up, just to see if it'll start. Go ahead and plug in my sensors and stuff like that, and then if it does start up, I'm gonna go ahead and put the timing cover and, you know, put all the motor mounts and everything in there. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. Okay, so I just got the timing set. So valve adjustment right after you set the timing. It's perfect time to go ahead and do a valve adjustment. You got to do it sometime before you put it all back together, so might as well do it right now. Got my camshaft at the up position. Now what you want to do is first find out your firing order on this vehicle. Let's see, it's gonna be 1, 4, 3, 2. Okay, so here is the firing order. It's 1, 3, 4, 2. All right, and here are the specs for the filler gauge valve adjustment. Your intake is going to be 0.18 to 0.22, so I like to go right in the middle at 0.20. The exhaust is 0.23 to 0.27, so right in the middle is like 0.25. Alright, and then it says 1342. Alright, so this is 1, then we're going to do 3, then 4, and then 2. So we start at 1. This is your exhaust. Here's your exhaust manifold. That's your intake side. So it said again, our exhaust was going to be, usually it's the bigger of the two. I chose 0.25. So on my filler gauge, I don't know if you can see it there, but it says 0.25. 0.25 right there. And then on this one right here is going to be our intake. That's 0.20. All right, so what you're doing here is on the exhaust side. Here's your two exhaust valves. Here's your two intake valves. So right up under here, you're going to take that 0.25 millimeter filler gauge. You're taking it right between, let's see, the valve and the rocker arm, and you just want a little bit of drag, and you're going to adjust it with that screw right there. So what I usually do is I tighten it down all the way to the right, that screw, until I can't move this at all, and then my filler gauge gets stuck. Then I'll back it off a little bit, turn that counterclockwise right here. So this is what I'm talking about. Turn your screw counterclockwise, and then it'll loosen up on the filler gauge, and then just kind of play with it until you feel like you've got it where there's a slight amount of drag on your filler gauge. And then once you got it where you want it, hold the screwdriver here and then tighten this nut down. Then you're going to go over here to your other exhaust, and you're going to do it here also. Then you're going to do your intake, but your intake you're going to use, instead of the 0.25, you're going to use the 0.20. So you're just going to go back under here, do the same procedure. Now, firing order 1, 3, 4, 2. Next one is going to be number 3. So what you do is you come over here. This goes counterclockwise. So by the time this right here is not, you're going to turn it 90 degrees. That's going to be number 3, piston 3. Then you're going to do cylinder number 4. So when you turn the up symbol another 90 degrees, piston number 4 right here is your up symbol should be right here, and then piston 4 should be on top dead center, compression. And then the last one is number 2. So you go another 90 degrees with the cam, and piston number 2 should be at top dead center compression when it's here. So this is 1, then you're going to go 3, cylinder 3, then cylinder 4, then cylinder 2. So you're going to rotate this 90 degrees, bam, the up should be right here. Then you're going to come over here to number 3, then you're going to do these two right here for your exhaust, then you're going to do these two right here for the intake. Next thing you're going to do is rotate your cam another 90 degrees. The up symbol should be at the very bottom. Then you come over here, do cylinder 4, and adjust these two, then adjust these two intake valves. Last one is going to be cylinder 2. So you're going to again rotate this 90 degrees, and then your cam should be pointing towards the back of the engine. Then you go ahead and adjust number 2, exhaust, intake, and then you're done as far as your valve adjustment. That's your valve adjustment right there. Now you can basically just put this thing back together. So now we'll go ahead and just slap on the cover, just put everything back together now. Okay, so before you put that bottom cover on, of course you want to put in your crankshaft position sensor, and that plugs in to the back, and it's right there. Right there. Oh shit. Okay, there's old gaskets right there. That's your intake, head gasket. No, I'm sorry, that's the intake right there. That's your head gasket in the middle, and that's your exhaust manifold gasket right there. But wasn't really nothing wrong with that head gasket. I was just taking it out because I was doing a timing belt. This is the second time I'm doing a timing belt on this 04 Civic. So first time was at 120,000. Supposed to do it every 60,000 after that. So 180,000. It's right around. It's like 184,000. So it was just getting close to being about the time to do it anyway. Timing belt. But what happened was the cam shaft gear broke. Let's see if I can show you what I'm talking about. Anyway, the cam gear broke up here, like hydro lock or something like that. Right up under here. It's the top cover. So I got a cam shaft position sensor code. Went to go change out the cam sensor, which is right here. As soon as I pull it out, I see that it was all tore up, like it was broke. So I take the cover off and I see that the gear right here is broke, the cam gear. It was like winter time. I was having like a coolant leak, and I knew where it was, like that O-ring going into the thermostat housing in the back. So I replaced it. Still leaking a little bit. So I was just being lazy, just, you know what I'm saying, not wanting to fix it. Where, you know, I was trying to, you know, just being busy and shit, just being lazy. But anyway, went to go crank it up, and it had snowed that day. And motherfucking hydro locked that bitch. So anyway, something up here got stuck. So the crank was actually turning, but something that on top was stuck. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a radiator flush at this point. I'm gonna just go ahead and put like a radiator flush in there, run it, clean it out. I got everything fixed now. All the gaskets and everything have been replaced, so we're like A100. We're good right now. So I don't even think I'm gonna put the exhaust shield back on. It's just gonna get rusted up there. It was a bitch taking it off. I had to extract some bolts to get that shit off here this time. Only thing right here, put these two 14s. That's a 12 right there. After you crank this down, I used a 27mm socket on this right here. This wing nut. But the 27mm socket just makes that shit go a lot faster. And that's it, really. Fuck it, let's crank it up. Oh shit. There's my damn exhaust manifold shield right there, the heat shield. Boom. Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna just top it off with some coolant and put that flush in there. But you know, after you come in here and you're done, just look for like fuel leaks on your fuel injector and shit like that on your fuel rail. So make sure you don't see any kind of fuel injector leaks, something like that. Make sure all your belts are, everything's good, nothing's clogged. Just look underneath the car, make sure you don't have any leaks. But anyway, that's an 04 Honda Civic timing belt head gasket replacement. So anyways, appreciate you watching the video. Peace.